No, he seems to have expressed a desire to be buried in Paris. I received a telegram last night from the manager of the Grand Hotel.
Was the cause of death mentioned?
A severe chill, it seems.
As a man sows, so shall he reap.
Charity, dear Miss Priscilla, charity. None of us are perfect. I myself am particularly susceptible to draughts. Will the interment take place here?
No, he seems to have expressed a desire to be buried in Paris.
In Paris? I fear that hardly points to any serious frame of mind at the last. You will no doubt wish me to make some slight allusion to the tragic affliction next Sunday. My sermon on the meaning of man in the wilderness can be adapted to almost any occasion, joyful, or as in the present case, distressing. It can be delivered on harvest celebrations, ceremonies of complication, conviction, days of pleasantry, days of humiliation, and festal days. My last sermon delivered at the cathedral was a charity sermon on behalf of the Prevention for Discontent among the upper orders. The bishop who was present was much struck by many of the analogies I drew.
Ah, that reminds me. I believed you mentioned christenings, dear doctor. I mean, you do know how to christen all right. I mean, you are continually christening, aren't you?
It is, I regret to say, one of the rector's most constant duties in this parish. I've often spoken to the poorer classes on the subject, but they don't seem to know what thrift is.
But certainly, Mr. Worthing, you've been christened already.
I don't remember anything about it.
People who live entirely for pleasure usually are.
But it is not for any child, dear doctor. No, the fact of the matter is I would like to be christened myself this afternoon, if you have nothing better to do.
But certainly already have, Mr. Worthing.
Yes, I don't remember anything about it.
Well, don't you have any grave doubts on the subject?
Well, I certainly intend to have. Of course, I don't know if the thing would bother you in any way, or if you think I am a bit too old now.
Not at all, not at all. The sprinkling, and indeed immersion, of adults is perfectly canonical practice.
Immersion!
You need have no apprehensions. The sprinkling is all that is necessary and indeed advisable. Our climate is so changeable, is it not? At what time would you like the ceremony to be performed?
Oh, I might trot round about 5 or so.
Perfectly, perfectly. I have a similar ceremony to perform at that time. A case of twins born on one of the outlying cottages on your own village, or on your own estate. Poor Jenkins the carter, he is such a hard-working man.
No, I don't see much fun in being christened along with other babies. It would be quite childish. Would 5:30 do?
Admirably, admirably. And now, Mr. Worthing, I will no longer intrude into your house of sorrow. I would really beg you not to be too much bowed by grief. Often, these bitter trials are mere blessings in disguise.
This seems to me a blessing of an extremely obvious kind.
Oh, Uncle Jack, I'm pleased to see you back. But what horrid clothes you've got on.
Cicely!
My child! My child!
Uncle Jack, what is the matter?
Yikes.
You look happy. You look as though you have a toothache. And I've got such a surprise for you. Who do you think is waiting for you in the dining room? Your brother.
Who?
Your brother Ernest. He arrived about half an hour ago.
What nonsense! I haven't got a brother!
Don't say that. However poorly he may have behaved in the past, he is still your brother. And you would not be so heartless as to disown him. I'll tell him to come out. And you will shake his hand, won't you?
These are joyful tidings!
After we'd all been resigned to his loss, his sudden return seems to me peculiarly distressing.
I don't know what all this means. My brother is in the dining room? This is quite absurd. Good heavens! Brother John, I've come down from town to tell you that I'm very sorry for all the trouble that I've given you, and that I intend to lead a better life in the future.
Uncle Jack, you are not going to refuse your own brother's hand.
Nothing will induce me to take his hand. I think his coming down here is quite disgraceful. He knows perfectly well why.
Do be kind. Ernest here has just been telling me all about his poor invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury. And surely there is much good in someone who goes down to the city and is so kind to a Bunbury, or to an invalid. And he leaves the pleasures of London to sit by a bed of pain.
My. He has been talking to you about Bunbury, has he?
He's told me all about poor Mr. Bunbury and his terrible state of health.
Bunbury! Well, I won't have talk about anything or Bunburying around here. It is enough to drive one perfectly frantic.
Of course, I admit that the faults were all on my side, but I must say that I think Brother John's coldness to me is peculiarly painful. I was expecting a more enthusiastic welcome, especially considering it is the first time I've come down here.
Uncle Jack, if you don't shake your brother's hand now, I will never forgive you.
Never forgive me?
Never, never, never.
Well, this will be the last time I shall ever do it.
It is pleasant, is it not, to see such a good act of reconciliation? You've done a wonderful thing today, my child.
Cicely, you will come with us.
Certainly, my little task of reconciliation is done.
What a wonderful task it is.
We must not be premature in our judgments.
I feel
Happy!
You young scoundrel, Algie. You must get out of here as quickly as possible. I don't allow any Bunburying here.